rise for the prayer and pledge of allegiance.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item D on the agenda is the mayor's presentation of the 2024 budget. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much, Council President. Appreciate it. Do a quick run through of the 2024 appropriation budget for the city of Napoleon, Ohio. Again, thanks for the opportunity to do this. So, as you can see, when we look through the next one, what you'll see is, thanks. We're sticking to our 65-35 split, which I think is very important to keep that split, the 65-35. That's a good amount for the capital to make sure that we continue to provide the services and the stuff that we need to provide our services that we do day in and day out for the citizens of the city of Napoleon. And as you flip over to the next one, what we're going to see is the estimated revenue by category. And obviously the tall one is the electric utility. That's quite a big number. But as you go down the right, what you see are the federal and state grants. And that number is about $416,000. That's $416,000 that we don't have to necessarily spend out of our own coffers. That comes from outside. So that's a very, very good number for us to make sure we're tracking those outside dollars. So again, obviously the income tax, the water utility, electric, and the sewer, and then the internal transfers are the tall ones. But that's federal and state grants. It's $416,000 that we don't need from somebody else, or actually from ourselves. So that's always a good number to have. And the next one is the appropriations budget. When you look down there, you see the debt payments is about $2.5 million. That's only 4%, and that's just the payments. Obviously, that's something we got to make sure we keep an eye on. That number does not become a larger number. Obviously, debt's got to get paid first. That's the way those debt covenants are written. Purchase power, obviously, you can see the how large that is, over the $56 million. And again, let's make sure we understand that 56 is less than the budget for 2023. A lot of that had to do with the wastewater treatment plant. No, it's not, because on a coffee that I drink in council meetings, it's not $4 million. That's the joke. Thank you for laughing. The appropriate amount. So the next one shows there we go, the major capital items for 2024. The Glenwood Park ball field, that's going to be an absolute gem for us. You also see the Scott Street resurfacing project from the Grange to Wood. Those dollars will get spent in 2024, but that project is not going to happen until 2025. In much the same way, when you look on that, you see the Oakwood complex improvements, but you don't see the Oakwood Street, Oakwood Avenue improvements on there. Again, because those dollars got spent here in 2023 for the project to happen in 2024. So that does not show up there. That's why it looks a little like, wait, aren't we doing some things? Aren't we doing some of those next year? And how does it all fit in? That's how it all kind of fits in there. So that's what that one is. And then the last slide is the bigger major machinery and equipment. So obviously the two police Tahoes is going to be big. Obviously the advanced metering infrastructure, that is going to be so key for us. It's going to allow us so much more flexibility. It's a big price tag of $1 million, but it's going to give the citizens better response and our utility operators a better response. Maybe find those leaks before they become a major hazard for us. And also the same thing as we respond to emergency situations, be able to turn those utilities on and off as we respond. So those are some really big things that we need to make sure we're watching here in next year for 2024. And I think that is the last slide that I have. Does anybody have any questions for the 2024 appropriations budget? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, moving on to item E, approval of minutes. In the absence of any objections or corrections, the minutes shall stand approved from the November 3rd, 2023 special council meeting minutes, the November 4th, 2023 and November 6th, 2023 council meeting minutes. Hearing none, they stand approved. Item F, we have citizen communication. If there's anyone out in the audience that would like to address council on something that is not on the agenda, you can go up to the podium and we'll give you 5 minutes to discuss what you have there. Item G, reports from council committees. G1, the electric committee did not meet on November 13th, 2023 due to lack of agenda items. Item G2, the Water, Sewer, Refuse, Recycling, and Litter Committee did not meet on November 13th, 2023 due to lack of agenda items. G3, the Municipal Properties, Building, Land Use, and Economic Development Committee did not meet on November 13th due to lack of agenda items. And last, G4, the Parks and Rec Committee did not meet on November 20th, 2023 due to lack of agenda items. Okay, moving on to item I, introductions of new ordinances and resolutions. All right, we have I1 is resolution number 041-23, a resolution authorizing the expenditure of funds and authorizing a department director to take bids on certain projects, services, equipment, materials, or supplies without the requirement of additional legislation to do so in the year 2024 and declaring an emergency. Have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Kevin?
I'll take these. Thank you, Council President. This is the first of many resolutions that we hear to the budget of 2024. What this resolution is, these are all items that are in the budget, and they were already approved by the council in the budget meetings that we had back in the early part of November. And so what this allows us to do is to go ahead and purchase these items without additional legislation, no matter what time we purchase them through the next year. A good example is that if we remember when we had to purchase what they call a can for the electric department, we did a special resolution for that. That's because that wasn't on the list. These items here are on the list, so this just allows, and they're usually large ticket items, for the staff, for the appointed authorities to go ahead and purchase these without having to go to council.
Thank you. Do you have any questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly? Yes. Bob?
Yes.
Okay, that will be moving on to second read. Item I2 is resolution number 042-23, a resolution authorizing expenditure of funds in excess of $50,000 in and for the year 2024 as it relates to reoccurring costs associated with the operation of the city for payment and of expenses and for purchases associated with vendors utilized by multiple departments within the city, elimination of necessity of competitive bidding in and for the year 2024 as it relates to certain transactions and declaring an emergency.
Motion. Second.
Kevin?
The second one, Council President, thank you, Council President, again, the second one here just allows us to purchase items that are listed in the Exhibit A, B, and C that, again, are also already budgeted. We do this for every year, and this is for 2024. There is a cap on how much we can spend unless this resolution is approved. So this allows us to spend over the threshold of $50,000 on these vendors for specific items without having to go back to council for that. This used to be $25,000, and then I think it was 2 years ago we raised it to $50,000. But that's what these are specific by these exhibits. So if they're not in here and we have to spend over $50,000, then we need to get approval by council.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Any questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly? Yes. Bob?
Yes.
Okay, that will be moving on to second read. Item I3 is ordinance number 045-23, an ordinance establishing the appropriation measure budget of the City of Napoleon, Ohio for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024, listed in Exhibit A, and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Thank you. Kevin?
Thank you again, Council President. This is the meat and potato of the budget, basically. These are the ones that once council all met with the department heads and they asked for certain items on certain line items. These are the totals of those line items as they are sitting here by fund and by the department. And so this is basically your budget. So if you look on page 1 of 6 of the attachment, and it says general fund, total is $8,715,000 and some change. That's our number for our budget at the time of passage. Yes.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Okay, and that one will be moving on to second reads also. Item I4 is resolution number 046-23, a resolution authorizing the finance director to transfer certain fund balances from respective funds to other funds per section 5705.14 ORC on an as-needed basis in fiscal year 2024, listed in Exhibit A, and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Second?
Okay, Kevin?
Okay, Council President, what this one is about is this allows us to transfer funds by this resolution from one fund to the next. A good example of this is all the income tax money goes into the Income Tax Fund 170, and then we distribute that out to either the general fund, the capital fund, or the, it's Fund 221, the pool fund, for example. And so that allows us to transfer that money in. So that's where you said in the mayor's presentation about the 65-35, 65% goes to the general fund, 35% goes to the capital fund, and then that additional income tax that was passed goes for the pool levy into that. So we also transfer from other funds. For example, the electric fund, they get transferred to the electric development fund. The water fund gets transferred into various debt funds, because we do have to pay our debt with that, and so will the sanitary sewer fund, goes into certain debt funds. So this allows us to do those transfers throughout the year.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
All right, that will be moving on to second read. Item I5 is ordinance number 047-23, and ordinance amending the allocation of funds as found in sections 193.11 and 194.013 of the codified ordinances of the City of Napoleon, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Thank you. Okay, Kevin?
There's no attachment with this one because it is all in the legislation. This is the ordinance that states the percentage of breakout of the income tax, that it could either go to the general or capital. That has changed throughout the years. It's been steady for several years now. But it states in here that by the ordinance that 65% will go to the general fund and 35% will go to the capital fund. And so that way it is set that, like, nobody else can make that decision if we have too much in capital or too much in general. This is where the money's gonna go for 2024.
All right. All right, thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Okay, that will be moving on to second read. Item I6 is ordinance number 048-23, an ordinance apportioning the expenses incurred, including wages, salaries, and fringe benefits of the mayor, council, and various other departments of the City of Napoleon, which are not otherwise directed, charged to special and/or capital projects among various account effective January 1st, 2024, amending ordinance numbers 104-09, 087-19, 069-20, 059-21, and 076-22, and declaring an emergency.
Motion?
Second.
Thank you. Kevin?
Okay, Council President, what this one is, and it shows in the attachment, is that allows us to break out costs to other funds. We call reimbursables. So, for example, like appointing authorities, Andy and Billy and myself, while we all get paid out of the general fund, we also do work for some of those other funds that like the electric department, the water department, the rec fund, things like that. So to capture our salary, our fringe benefits, we pull from those funds back to the general fund. Even as much as council. You are not council of just a general fund, you're a council of the entire city. So the decisions that you make, because you are in charge of the electric, the water, the wastewater, so even your expenses as being salaries on council is broken out into those entities. So that's what this allows us to do.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Okay, that will be moving on to second read. Item I-7 is ordinance number 049-23, an ordinance establishing a new position classification pay plan for employees of the city of Napoleon, Ohio for the year 2024, repealing ordinance number 077-22, and declaring an emergency.
Motion?
Second?
Thank you. Kevin?
This ordinance here is just basically reestablishes all the pay plans that we have for the city. They have exhibits A, B, and C that's attached to this resolution. These are all increased at 3% increase as what was budgeted. So this just makes the cost of living adjustments for all those positions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hey, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Okay, that will be moving on to second read. Item I-8, resolution number 050-23, a resolution authorizing a contribution to the Community Improvement Corporation of Henry County, Ohio, in and for the year 2024, and declaring an emergency.
Motion? Second.
I'll
Kevin
take.
still? All right.
Are you glad you showed up tonight to read all these?
I sure am,
Council
yes.
President.
I am too.
This is resolution, this is the 8th, some of them were ordinances, the 8th of the 8th for the budget. And all 8 of these will come back to second and then third read. Last but certainly not least, there's no attachment to this one. And we do this every year where we state here is our annual contribution to the Community Improvement Corporation, and it's set at $45,000, as that's what we were budgeted for, so.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
All right, that will move on to second read. Item I-9, ordinance number 052-23, an ordinance amending the city income tax code, chapter 194 of the codified ordinances of the city of Napoleon, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Motion?
Second?
Kevin?
Billy, I'll take, if that's
Yeah,
fine?
you're on a
Okay,
roll.
okay. So there was some changes down at the state level with House Bill 33 that affected our income tax. And with us going to Rita, they certainly suggested that we make these necessary changes in our ordinances to adhere to House Bill 33, and that's what these changes are. There's no major changes to this. I'll point out one here is that we always taxed income at any level of age, and it was stated here that tax year 2024 and after the income of individuals under the age of 18 is an exempted income. Not all villages or cities collected of under the age of 18, but now we cannot. So There were quite a few changes that came out of the State House Bill 33, and these correct those in our ordinances.
Okay. All right, any questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Okay, and last but not least, item I-10, resolution number 053-23, a resolution authorizing the execution of the 2023 NPP Power Pool participant schedule with the American Municipal Power Incorporation and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Second?
Kevin,
I am going to defer this to
Andy gets to
You're
talk.
doing so well. Yes, Council President, as I had mentioned at the last meeting, this legislation allows me to sign an updated agreement with AMP for the Northern Power Pool. This pool consists of 43 municipalities on the northern part of the state, all within the First Energy footprint. The intent of the pool is to basically meet seasonal needs for the upcoming year, to purchase daily or weekly energy when the high loads are expected. And it also allows us to purchase it monthly, weekly, or daily if Fremont or the Prairie State are expecting outages. It's approximately 9% of our energy resources, and the last time this agreement was updated was in 2011. The real driver for this was a change from PJM. Again, we've mentioned it 100 times and for 100 different reasons, but Winter Storm Elliott, they're reacting to some of the issues that occurred during Winter Storm Elliott. Some of the credits and penalties that occurred for municipalities because they didn't come online at the right time, or generators, I should say, didn't come online at the right time. Some generators came online and helped out, produced more than they were asked. So because of that whole thing, they had to look at all the charges at PJM, which is basically the traffic cop for the grid all the way from New Jersey to Illinois. And we fall within that PJM footprint. So what AMP has done is they've basically updated their Northern Power Pool agreement with the charges that align with the PJM charge, the new PJM charges. So there's really no cost increase per se, but it just basically realigns some of those costs within the pool.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
No. Yes, excuse me.
Somebody's got to say no once, right?
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to item J, second readings of ordinances and resolutions. And we only have one here. J1 is ordinance number 051-23, and ordinance amending chapter 955 of the codified ordinances of the city of Napoleon, Ohio, specifically section 955.09 golf privileges fees, sections 955.09J fees for motorized cart use, and section 055.09S golf outing fees.
Motion.
Second.
Yes, Council President, there is no change from this, from the first reading. Once again, this adjusts greens fees, membership rates, and adds personal drive-on cart fee. Other than that, there's no changes.
Any questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
All right, that will be moving on to third reads. Item K is third readings of ordinances and resolutions. We have none. Item L, good of the city. L1 is discussion or action, review approval of the power supply cost adjustment factor for November 2023. PSCA 3-month average factor 0.00901, and JV2 is 0.016776.
Yes, Council President, there is nothing notable really this month. It's a slight increase versus last month, slight meaning 0.2 of a penny per kilowatt hour. But year over year, comparing to last year, it's 0.7 of a penny less still. So prices are still very, very favorable.
Great. Any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Okay, that's been approved. Item L2, discussion or action, state issue 2, recreational marijuana dispensaries.
Yes,
Andy?
Council President, I ask that this be put on the agenda. The day after State Issue 2 passed, I got online and read the verbiage of the issue, and it does allow for municipalities to deny the establishment of recreational marijuana dispensaries within their community. That would have to be done by legislation. And I would recommend, if that's the direction of this council, to do it sooner rather than later to get that established. With that said, I also shared with you, one of the benefits is there are some tax dollars to be gained if you do allow the dispensaries within the community. There's going to be 35%, I believe it was, 35% of the tax revenue realized by the state will go to municipalities, and then their take will be based on how many dispensaries they allow within their community. If this body so chose to do it, we could force those into a zoning district. And we could certainly discuss, if you choose, where those could be. But I would recommend a C5 if that's what you choose, which would put them out the farthest reaches of the community by the truck stops and away from our commercial establishments as well as our residential districts. I just wanted to bring that before this body once that was approved, so.
Thank you.
I think you have a pretty clear majority of residents in Napoleon Henry County that rejected state issue 2 at the local level. So if we follow what our voters say, we would not allow it in our community, is how I'd read what the voters told us on that day.
You're correct, Mayor. It was 58 to 42 within the county rejecting the measure and 52 to 48 within the city.
We already have a law on the books.
We
that
have medical
does not-
marijuana
It does not
zoning.
have dispensaries in it,
That's correct, yeah.
but it has
So
everything else in it.
It has, so dispensaries is one stage of the process.
Right.
We're talking about warehousing, distributing, and everything else as well. And I think there was a term, I think it was adult cannabis use operators or something like that, the all-encompassing term. So depending on what council wanted to do, I could draft complete prohibition on all stages of the operation, not just the dispensary, or however council wanted to handle that. The same way we did when medical marijuana became legal in the city. So we drafted that in 2017, I think. And based on that, it wouldn't be very difficult. If prohibition is what council was after, then that would be a fairly straightforward piece of legislation. It would be slightly more complicated if council were looking to do some mix of something or to allow whatever council chose to allow. So depending on what you do, that's what I'll draft, and yeah, stand ready to draft something. So, and we're not, and we don't need to take our sweet time, but we're not in a giant hurry either. It's going to be a good long while before any potential dispensary or other person within that realm of distributing and growing and so on would be in any way licensed to do anything here. We don't have any medical marijuana dispensaries here. Those will be the first groups to get a license for for recreational marijuana. They don't exist here. So we do have plenty of time to think about it. If you don't want to think about it, let me know, and we can draft that legislation fairly quickly too.
Even if we don't allow dispensaries to be here, it still doesn't change the fact that under Ohio law, though, that people have a right to grow six
That's correct.
plants.
No, we're not reaching
And
into
however many
anybody's-
ounces and
Nope.
whatever, so the only thing it would do is, it would prevent it from being sold in, city of Napoleon.
Correct. Yeah, no.
But it
state
would
law
prevent
will be state
usage or-
law, and we
right.
will follow state law, but the municipalities are allowed to prohibit if we so choose.
Does the county have any rule restricting the?
I don't know the answer to that. It's a good question.
And if so, how would that impact us, I guess? Just something to look into.
Not sure. Maybe that's a conversation the council wants to have with the commissioners. Maybe move forward together, I don't know. That part's not my job.
If the legislation at the state level says municipality, obviously the county does not, I don't think qualifies.
So I don't recall perfectly, because I wasn't looking for it, obviously, I don't represent townships, but I think townships can do something similar.
Okay.
I would guess it's too early to tell the
Nothing
amount
needed,
of,
yeah, right this second, but keep it in your thoughts. If you guys want to have a further discussion at some point and you're looking for legal input or some other kind of input, please let us know, and we can have a full discussion, and the council can make a decision afterwards. Don't wait too long, but we're not in a giant hurry either.
What's a good time frame? Don't wait too long. 6 months?
If you wanted to within the
Thursday?
Yeah, within the next, next couple of weeks, months, something like that, you wanted to start having the conversation, that would give us enough time to, and let's say prohibition was what council, this is an example, I'm not saying one way or the other. If that's what council's after, we have plenty of time to get that drafted and in the books before anything would even start to take place in the city of Napoleon.
That state ordinance, when does it become effective? Is that 30 days or 90
December
days?
7.
So 30 days after the election, okay.
well, since Chief Mack hasn't retired yet, let's put him on the spot for a couple minutes. Just a couple thoughts I have is, one thing, I don't know if you've ever talked to any other, maybe some cities in Michigan that have dispensaries, and if there are any additional criminal things going on, or just a reason that you could think of that, not a good idea.
What I can do is do some research. I can't say I've had any official conversation, but we can definitely look into it and see what kind of feedback we can get from those jurisdictions.
Okay.
A primary concern that I think council had, and I don't recall perfectly, 6 years ago, was the fact that it is still prohibited federally. What does that do with, the funds that they could potentially make? It could potentially make a lot of money at a dispensary in Napoleon, Ohio. What are they doing with those funds? It's very difficult to bank them, obviously, because banks are federally insured and so on. So, that's another thing to think about, is that unless and until the feds change their mind, is that something we want to hassle with? Is there potential for criminality based on the fact that we've got businesses with large amounts of cash, in a situation where they find it difficult to bank? I don't know. So I'm no expert.
I don't know, my opinion still stays the same, the voters said no. We can explore all these questions and ask all these questions at the end of the day, the voters still said no. So,
At my age, I say no. No to everything.
I would like to hear more about what the commissioners have to say, if they have an involvement in that or not, as you talked earlier.
The thing I see with the tax money is the state's gonna collect it. And the state has a habit of distributing any collections like that to large entities, never to small entities. And we are a small entity. We are supposedly gonna get 35% of 10% excise tax, theoretically. The government seldom operates that way.
But it's based on the number of dispensaries in the municipality, correct? So if your answer is zero,
That's the way it's written.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
pretty clear in the constitutional amendment that if you do not have any, you will not receive
we
any.
don't see that, yep.
But the unknown is what's the percentages per dispensary? It could be 10,000, it could be 100,000 or anywhere. You know,
Yeah.
for economic development, if you choose not to do this, we know what we will receive. Nothing.
Sure, right.
If we do allow them to come in, we will gain something by the Constitution.
But again,
And also go against the wishes of the voters, locally.
If you want to stand on that point, yes, you are correct. That's nothing you can change, but not everything goes to the voters that they agree with either.
But that one did.
But statewide as it passed, all I can tell you is as an economic, it could bring in jobs. I could also just state that if you say it's not gonna happen in our neighborhood, they can be a mile out of town, and it makes no difference. It could butt right up against the city of Napoleon if it's allowed by commissioners.
If those townships allow it.
The issues are still, if you have any issues, it's still gonna come in your neighborhood. So, you know, I'm not gonna go against wishes of councils, but I will just state, we know if we do not allow them in here, what we will get is nothing. If we do allow them, we will get something.
Yeah, but just because we think they're coming doesn't mean they're gonna roll out a red carpet to welcome them in either.
Well, I agree.
I have a question for the chief. When Michigan passed their laws for dispensaries, did you see much of an increase in this area catching people with illegal marijuana substances because of Michigan's law passing? Were people bringing it in here regardless of whether it wasn't passed here, but were they bringing it down here from those areas?
Absolutely.
So we're gonna have it coming in here whether we sell it or not.
We had it coming in here, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Will it become more prolific? Absolutely, if you allow it. But you definitely had it coming down in Michigan already.
So it will be here whether we sell it or don't allow dispensaries to be here,
It is
regardless. Yeah.
Anyway, let me know what you want.
Just thought I'd bring it up.
No, I think it was great. Okay, any other questions or comments relating to this? Yes, please come up to the podium. Could write your name and address on the form there, and then also if you could tell us your name and address on there.
Okay, my name is Dawn Carter, and I do not live in the city of Napoleon. I live just outside the city limits. But I've dealt a lot with politics and entities in the area that are not happy with the idea of it being here, okay? I know, that it passed statewide and we can't do anything about people using it. But I just want to put out that the people that I know, and I mean, I can bring lots of them if you want to hear opinions, but I just feel that we shouldn't allow it in the city as in any form, like you said, the sale, the warehouses, the growing, the whatever, other than the personal property that we can't stop. Mainly because of the fact that I've had a lake place in Michigan for years, and I've watched just to me, the dirtiness of a lot of the places. I mean, the places themselves are not dirty, but just a lot of the quality of people that are coming in, like Coldwater, Michigan, for instance, has allowed 16 pot dispensaries in town, okay? And it is just a complete I don't know, I feel like it's an eyesore because every sign you see on the interstate, every sign you see on the side roads, you know, during COVID, all of the stores had huge lines outside of them. They had parking issues. I mean, it's just craziness. And I just don't feel that we want that in our town, you know? I mean, I don't, but that's just my point of view. I feel like that, that the towns and what it brings and just the questions that it raises. I mean, we know that people use, we know that people have been using even when they, you know, they were going to Michigan to get it or they were going wherever to get it. But I just would recommend that we make a decision as a community sooner rather than later, because there's already people I've seen on Facebook, you know, asking about places they can rent to have their pot dispensaries. So, I mean, it's already, I'm not saying that those are viable people that could actually have a business, but there are people that are ready to do it, you know. They know that December 7th is the day that, you know, it's supposed to be go day, you know, so they're ready. So I just encourage you to make a decision as quick as possible, and my decision would be no within the city limits. I assume from what you said, we would have to, like, say Ridgeville's gonna have to have their own municipal, I mean, are they a municipal?
They're not, they're unincorporated.
Okay, so anything that's incorporated could fight it?
Yes. that's
Okay,
correct.
okay.
And to go along with what Don just said, we have had a number of people call in regard to establishing dispensaries. So, just for what it's worth.
And as far as, in the county, I mean, you guys are welcome to get with the commissioners, but I already did check with a couple of them, and apparently they can't do anything countywide because it is they're ran by the state. You guys live on a home rule thing or whatever, you know, you apparently can have more flexibility in trying to put the clamp on it than what because I said, well, can't we just do something as a county to, you know, make it so that we can't have stores in the county, but they said they couldn't do that, so. I mean, that's just my take, so obviously you want to get your official word, I'm sure, but yeah. So, any other questions or thoughts? I don't know. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So if the go date is December 7th, then we probably would have the conversation at the next council meeting.
So the go date for making possession legal is December 7th. The go date for licensure, for all the steps necessary to actually sell the product, let's say somebody had the goal of getting it done as fast as they could in Napoleon, Ohio, we have months to stop that. So there are 0 dispensaries in here currently. The medical marijuana dispensaries will be given the recreational licenses. We'll be given the recreational licenses first. And everybody else who is looking to do that is gonna have to go through the process, and that's going to take a good amount of time. But there is 0 danger of a dispensary being set up in this city within the next few months. It's not gonna happen.
Correct me if I'm wrong, we have a rule currently prohibiting dispensaries, right?
Medical
Medical.
marijuana
Just
dispensaries.
okay.
And I believe because you did that, the way I read it, is it makes it more difficult for those communities that did allow the medical marijuana dispensaries
That's what I'm talking about.
to say no to the recreational.
If they have dispensaries there already,
Right.
those medical dispensaries will have their licensure fast-tracked, essentially. And so they'll have to take additional steps and do them very quickly to try to make sure that if they for some reason allowed medical but didn't want recreational, they would have to move fairly quickly to stop the recreational. We have 0 here. It's going to take months for, if anybody really wants to get after it and get into the city of Napoleon with their marijuana. It's going to take a very long time for them to do that. And if council decides within the next month or 2 that we want to stop that, we have plenty of time to do that.
So either way, we're going to need legislation either
Yes.
prohibiting or allowing.
Yes.
Okay,
So, the decision needs to be made, that's all.
okay.
Mr. President?
Yes.
You know, I agree with her point, you know, in what I do for work, it's very clear that the stuff comes, I mean, it's easy to get here, okay? But it doesn't mean it has has to necessarily be here because, yes, I've observed myself in Michigan when we go up to cold water lines at places like that. I do feel, however, and not exactly what the mayor said, but pretty close, I feel we should decide, the sooner we decide yes or no, it puts a curtailment on the people calling the city office. So maybe we should decide one way or the other by next meeting, in my opinion. That way it might at least there know yes or no. Does that make sense? That's my comment.
Thank you. Any other thoughts or comments at this time? Okay. We'll move on to item L3, discussion or action, approve specifications for chemicals for the water treatment and wastewater treatment plants for year 2024.
Yes, Council President, I will defer to my water treatment superintendent, Jeff Weiss.
As we do every year, we're just looking for approval of the specifications so we can go to bid for the chemicals at the water and wastewater plant. We have one chemical that we bid at the water plant and then one chemical that we bid at the wastewater plant. So we're just looking for the approval of the specifications so we can open that up.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments regarding this?
I do have a question, but it's tied with water, but not, it was kind of tight there for a little while trying to get the certain chemicals.
Yeah.
Has that supply issue has that eased up some, or is it still a little bit of an issue trying to get some of those chemicals?
It's obviously still seasonally, but logistic wise, we've not had too much of a problem, in the last year and a half. Usually we put in for an order, we have it one date that we want to get it, we've not had too much of a problem.
Okay, thank you.
All right, then we need a motion to approve.
Motion?
Second?
Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Okay, that's been approved. Item L4, discussion or action to approve the police department to apply for body worn vest grant through the BWC.
Yes, Council President, Chief Mack did include a memo in the packet this week, and I will allow him to speak to this issue.
Thank you, Council President. I guess, is there any questions on the memo? This is something that's been kind of forced upon us with the criminal investigation, so without getting into too many weeds, all the plates that we currently have are part of that investigation. We've been informed to cease and desist use of them immediately. So this is not necessarily a cheap item, so what we're looking for is to try, this is a grant that we've utilized before. Typically, it's on our ballistics vest. I tried getting confirmation that these plates would be appropriate under this grant. I've yet to receive that confirmation, but according to our salesman, they are. So we're going with that word, and I'm permission to submit it and see what happens. It's a 75% reimbursement if they give us the entire amount.
He did send through a purchase rec today to purchase the new body armor, and because it is a reimbursement grant, so we will have to pay the cost up front. But if we are successful in receiving the grant monies, then, as the chief said, 75% of it that will be reimbursed.
Additional note, I do currently have, due to some earlier decisions in the year, we do have it covered in the existing budget. The money is in a couple other line items, that would just require a couple transfers, but we do have it without asking for additional funds that are not in my budget at all.
Okay, great.
Go get it.
Yeah. All right, need a motion to approve unless we have any other questions or comments.
Motion.
Second.
If you need somebody to drive to Point Blank Enterprises, let me know. I'll drive and get the stuff for you. Yeah. I have no idea where that is, but have truck will travel. I don't care. Safety stuff for our guys, that's easy decision.
Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Okay, that has been approved. All right, we'll go around the table here, and we'll start with Andy today.
I have nothing, Council President.
And Billy?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Bob?
No, sir.
Molly?
No, thank you.
Dan?
A question for the Council President.
Yes.
Are you having finance and budget next Monday?
Oh, let me check with my partner over here, Kevin.
I was actually going to bring that up. There is no need to have Budget and Finance Committee on next Monday. Just a heads up, though, because I'll just continue on with that since it was asked. We will not have one in December also, but we will have to have one the second week of January. And the reason that we have to roll that over is because we have payroll the last Friday of the year. And to be able to balance all of our lines and make sure that everything's adjusted to close out the year, we really need to have one early January to have that. So then we could close out the year with that.
So you need the fourth quarter of '23 to happen in early '24.
And yes,
Right.
and we would like to, because council will probably meet the 2nd of January, because that's a Tuesday, the 1st. So it'd be the following week we would like to have that. And it's just how the schedule goes, which I know that you guys will have to reorganize. So Councilman Bear, you don't have any more Budget and Finance Committee.
I just need to know if the meeting is going to happen so I can move my meeting.
So to
Up.
answer your question, no, I'm not meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Finance Director. But what I would like to do is move the Safety and Human Resources meeting next Monday to 7 o'clock, because that is a quarterly meeting with the townships that we've resumed this year, and we've been doing it at 7 o'clock, and I would like to do that.
Okay. We can do that.
That is all.
Okay. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you very much. Billy, maybe I'm a couple weeks earlier, way late. Usually, right now, or am I just completely off? We put something in the legislation for housing for next year, for the costs.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking
We
about.
do that every year.
Let me check on that.
And it just dawned on me today when we were going through the budget stuff that usually it's around this time. And and maybe you already have a plan for next meeting. And knowing you and Tammy, you probably do, but I just thought about that, so.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I don't remember the title, and I'll check
Okay,
on that.
thank you very much. Again, thanks everybody for making that budget process, I think the smoothest I've ever had in my 11 years. That was just really, really nice. So thanks to Brittany for helping me with my slides. Really appreciate the help there, Brittany. Got a letter from the Henry County Commissioners regarding meeting to designate unincorporated areas of Henry County a restricted area prohibiting the construction of an economically significant wind farm, a large wind farm, and a large solar facility pursuant to RC 303.58. And they're going to have a commissioners meeting on, I assume, Thursday, December the 21st at 10:30 at their office to discuss the designation of the unincorporated area of Henry County, again, to prohibit the construction of wind farms and solar farms. And this was sent out to 31 different entities, city, village, township, school districts that are inside the county. So we probably ought to have a representative there. I don't know my schedule yet for December 21st, but we ought to have, just to kind of hear and kind of see what they're doing. The way it sounds, they do not want to allow it anywhere in the county, so. And now if that has anything to do, somebody already said that they asked the county and they said they can't do anything about dispensaries, but potentially they can do something about large wind farms and solar fields, so thought that was in there too. So that is all I had. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ross?
Nothing for me.
Ken?
Christmas lights were on tonight. Looking good.
Oh, that's what I wanted to, Greg called me today and said they were gonna be on tonight. Thanks, Kevin.
That's all I have.
Back to Dave?
Nothing for me.
Kevin?
I'm good, thank you.
I have nothing myself. All right. Item M, executive session, Need a motion to go into executive session for compensation of personnel.
A motion?
Second?
Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Executive session for compensation of personnel.
Motion.
Second?
Okay, there's no action taken. Please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
All right, we have 3 items that we would like to have the law director draft legislation. First would be compensation for the finance director, at 3% increase. Do you have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Okay, and then the second would be 3% for the law director.
Motion.
Second?
Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
And the third to draft
Bless you.
legislation for 3% for city manager.
Motion?
Second.
Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
All right. Moving on to item N, approve payment of bills and financial reports. In the absence of any objections or corrections, the payment of bills and financial reports shall stand approved.
Mr. President, could I have a mulligan on
Yep.
the good of the city?
Okay.
Could we have a little recap of the water situation? The leak?
We have George Gradle and Sons, or George Gradle Company, coming tomorrow to do a hydraulic study it's using sonar to kind of pinpoint where things are, so that they can come up with some sort of plan and cost to address the issue. So that's where things stand right now. We are looking at closing some valves to help us with the situation. Our current models, distribution models, indicate that we can do that without, we can do that indefinitely without any detrimental effects to the system. So that's the direction we're going.
Fortunately, we put the water line across the new bridge.
Exactly.
helps.
Plenty of capacity. Something, and I brought it up to the mayor, not to make this any longer, but something I brought up is, it's a good time for us to start looking and planning on an additional line. We have west of town can benefit from having a loop and taking it over to the southeasterly or westerly reaches of the distribution system. And the line that's under the river right now is 50 years old. It was installed in 1973. And of course, materials have changed, technology has changed, and we feel like we can really benefit from a new line on the west edge of town. So I think that's something that we're going to be investigating more seriously now. This just kind of gave us a little push to look into that more seriously.
Old always needs to be replaced.
It does. It does.
Not always.
I do remember when we were putting the line across on the bridge, it was Jeff Rathke mentioned about to reduce the water hammer effect on the water system. So are we going to be going back to having a little bit more stress on the water system if we do the blow-off valve like you're talking?
I don't believe so. I think we're looking at all the ramifications for what we do, and I think everything's being taken into consideration.
Okay.
We're working very closely with
Oh, yeah, I have no doubt about that. I was just wondering about if we were gonna run into that problem again, what he was talking
I don't
about.
believe so.
Okay.
Adam Hoff, we have the benefit of having Adam Hoff, who's very good in the industry as a former city engineer. He knows our system, working very closely with him to help us out.
Okay,
We're
good.
making all the right steps.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.